Okay, here we are. Okay, these scenes back. We're at the cathedral, walking along. It's kind of cold, but the weather is good. Over there, interesting buildings. So we just booked for an evening show. So some Irish music with dance. About 30 euros, which is probably like, I don't know, 40, 45 dollars. That's with food and dance. So let's see what that'll give. I don't know if I'll be able to film. Usually those things you can't actually film. So here we are, coming up to the cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral. Oh, we have to walk around, I guess. I don't actually know where the real entrance is. It's probably further over, but there's like this little bridge type thing. So we'll see. Okay, so I'll be back later on in a bit. Bye. You see here, hi again guys. 11 o'clock Irish time. Coming up to St. Patrick's Cathedral. What I showed you earlier, probably I'll clip it onto this, was Christ Church. And this is St. Patrick's. You don't see the sun's just coming right into us. So this is the St. Patrick's Park. I guess we'll be able to enter this way. So let's see what we will see if we can enter. I don't know if we'll be able to go in here. They're working here. The main entrance seems to be further off. So we're pretty lucky, aren't we? The weather is good, but it's cool. There's a lot of wind. That's probably the reason the weather is good, actually. It's pushing those rain clouds away. So now the question is, it seems with all of these cathedrals, is where can you enter? Well, we'll see in a bit. Okay, bye. So we're walking around St. Patrick's Cathedral, and here seem to be most the tombs, actually politicians. I think the one that I'm supposed to be looking for is more like a plaque. I think I saw a picture of it on the internet, but there's a lot of them here, so it's probably going to take a while to be able to see something. Let me just get something right here in the middle and show you what it looks like from this side. Okay. Moving around. There's supposed to be in about 15 minutes, I guess, a guided tour, which I think we'll be taking this time because with all these things, sometimes it's kind of, and it's free. I mean, it's included in the cost, so why not? So I'll be with you then. Bye.
That was the well. It was at the level of ground that we would have had in 450. And they believed that that was the well, the spring well, where Patrick baptized. Now, Patrick left us writings. He's the only 5th century saint who left not his writing. He wrote Confessio, a letter, a declaration, and he told us all about himself. And in this window here, this window, which is in the style of the 13th century Chartres and the great Gothic cathedrals, this is a Gothic cathedral in style. There are 39 little incidents from his life, all of which he mentioned. On the left, he was a citizen of Roman Britannia. We don't know what part. He names it, but names are lost. He was a citizen, and he was captured and taken as a slave to Ireland at the age of 16. You see him actually on the left panels. You see that happening. On the second rondello, you see him as a herder or a sheep minder. You see 4 little fluffy sheep there, and Patrick saying his prayers. Now, he tells us that before he was captured, he had a gay time. He wasn't at all religious, but he soon became religious out in the mountains of Slemish. For 6 years, he was enslaved. And then the story goes on, you see him escaping. He became a mystic, really. He heard voices calling him how to escape. he escapes back to his family. On the right-hand panel, he joins the church. He has become intensely religious, and he joins the church, elevated to a bishop, and he hears the voices of the Irish calling him, pagan Irish, come back, holy youth, walk among us. Comes back, and the story quickly, you see him bishop. He uses the shamrock to teach the Trinity. He converts the Celtic kings, and in the middle you see his progress, building cathedrals and so on. The very top one, he's been buried in Downpatrick, top one up there. At that stage, by the way, he didn't go into Southern Ireland. We know he converted and was a bishop in the northern, from Dublin across to, say, Galway and Croagh-Patrick and that. So he is a very, very important saint in Ireland and in the church in general. And many of you know the day of his death is our big national day, and we have parades. Anyone tell me what day it is?
St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, 17th of March. We all have a hoolie, as we'd say, and some of the biggest parades in the world take place. The first parade, by the way, we have some Americans here, the first St. Patrick's Day parade was held in the USA, way back in the 1700s. So Patrick is there in that window, and if you've an interest in him, his copy of his Confessio, his declaration, and his letter to Coroticus are available there. Make interest in it. Now, I'm telling you that because I feel this is Patrick's Cathedral, and we're going to be mentioning other things about him as we go around. Now, because we have a fairly good sized group, I just asked you to stay fairly close to me as we go along. I can only take you through, we're going to try and keep it to 35-40 minutes, and afterwards I'll be around for any questions you want to ask, and at particular stops as well. If you have any questions, you're very welcome to ask me them. But I'll be passing things of interest, but I'll be pointing them out to you later, and you can come back and have a look again. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, very well.
Everybody understand? Not speaking too fast? Good. So we're going up now to the... We're going up now. The fellow on the other side with an axe or a sword who might chop it off. I'd certainly be chancing my arm. And way back in the year that Columbus sailed to the Americas, nice easy date to remember, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. It's one of the few dates I can remember from school. This door took part in an interesting event in this cathedral. It was the door to the south transept. That's a big corner of the church over there that we'll see. And it was the door into what's called the chapter house, where the clergy had their quarters and rooms and so on. And when the Norman invasion of Ireland, the Norman conquest of Ireland, which led to the building of this church, the Normans came into Ireland with the permission of the King of England, Henry II, in 1169. 1169, the Norman conquest of England. They had conquered England, Battle of Hastings, 100 years earlier. So, okay, last time England was invaded and conquered. Ireland has been conquered many times. But in 1066, the Normans from France conquered England, and 100 years later, over they came to Ireland. Now, they were great stone builders. They loved building castles, cathedrals, and they are the ones who built this cathedral. This was built by Norman archbishops. Now, they brought with them very powerful families, and the king gave them huge grants of land. And the two of the most powerful families were the Fitzgeralds and the Butlers. Fitzgerald owned all of Kildare, thousands and thousands of acres. The Butlers were the Earls of Ormond, and they owned Kilkenny and so on. Now, they were always fighting. Who was going to be the king's man in Ireland? Who was Lord Lieutenant? And the row went into this church on one occasion. The Fitzgeralds chasing the Butlers, two leaders of the family, and the Butlers hid in the chapter house and banged the door and would not come out. Now, in a cathedral, you could not harm a man. He had sanctuary. It was a terrible crime to spill blood in a cathedral. And the Fitzgeralds, knowing this, asked them to come out and said they would shake hands. They refused. They reckoned they'd be done in. So he got his axe and he chopped a hole. Now this has been beautifully tidied up. But he chopped a hole and put it in his hand. He chanced his arm, and Butler grasped his hand, and they came out. And that was the end of the row. It wasn't the end of their affairs in Ireland. Poor old Fitzgerald's 100 years later, 6 of them were executed by Henry VIII. All the family, all the uncles and the young heir to the Fitzgerald family, Thomas Fitzgerald, Silken Thomas, because he loved his beautiful Tudor clothes. They were all hang-drawn and quartered in the Tower of London. Butlers stuck by the king and were very successful and went on for hundreds of years in Ireland as a very powerful family. If you go to Kilkenny, beautiful Kilkenny Castle is Butler Castle. It's a wonderful visit. Now, could I just ask you to turn around and